Whether you are required to do emergency repairs on helicopters, as you see being implemented here, or just routine sheet metal repairs of any type, it is always important to use the correct techniques and procedures to effect the repair. Equally important, however, is the technician's familiarity with the appropriate tooling. This video is designed to give you the essential operating information for the proper use of the D100 series hand hydraulic riveter found in FSI's D100 MIL-1 and D100 MIL-2 blind rivet tool kits.
Included in the kit is a operating instructions and a quick reference guide to all the parts included in this D100 MIL-1 kit. Take a moment to look and identify all the pull-up studs, nose pieces, adapters in the kit. Please note that the D100 MIL-1 includes 25 pieces. Each of the items are listed with a small description on the envelope lid. Today we'll be doing training on the D100 series riveter in the D100 MIL-1 and MIL-2 blind fastener installation riveter kits. By opening the kit, we have the D100 riveter. We have the 4 nose pieces provided with the toolkit. We have the pull-up studs and anvils for the blind rivet nuts, and our special adapter for the Cherry Max pulling heads. To begin riveting, we remove the tool from the case, pump the tool out slightly, select our nose piece for the type of rivet we're going to be installing. In this case, we'll be using the 3/16 Cherry Max nose piece, where we will thread that onto the tool. Hand tight. Then we will retract the tool completely, and now we are ready to proceed with the blind rivet. We have here a standard 3/16 Cherry Max rivet, which we will insert into the tool, and then we will insert that into the material for installation. Holding the tool at a 90-degree angle to the work surface, we pump the tool The rivet stem is captured in the riveter. We hold the release button and pull the handles together, and the stem drops from the tool. This is the same procedure for all types and all diameter blind rivets from 3/32 through 1/4 inch diameter. To change the riveter from blind rivets to blind rivet nuts, we must first remove the rivet nose piece, placing it back on the nose piece bar. Then we will remove the nose tube and the jaw holder with the jaws. You can see that. There's a 2-piece jaw set. Then we will select our master shaft turn nut assembly, which is housed here. It's a 2-piece assembly. We will thread that onto the tool. Remember to keep the spring on the tool at all times. Then we place the nose tube back over, threading that down hand tight. Then we take our turn nut, which has a D slot internally and a flat here that it matches on the master shaft. Line those up and slide that on. Remember that the opened end of the turn nut goes away from the tool. Then you go to your pull-up studs and anvils and select the correct thread size for installation. Today we'll be using 1/4-20. The mandrel is identified and etched on the bottom. The mandrel has a left-hand thread, and you thread that down tightly. You select the anvil, place that over that, and capture that in the turn nut. There is a O-ring keeping that in place. Then you'll select the blind nut, in this case the 1/4-20. Place that in your work material and pump the tool as it collapses. As soon as the tool has resistance, you've installed the part correctly. Again, release the pressure of the tool by pushing the release button and pulling the handles together. This will allow you to then use the turn nut to turn the mandrel from the fastener. Next, we will take the tool and adapt the special Cherry Max pulling heads, the right angle, the offset, and extended straight. To do this, we have to remove the nose tube and the jaw holder and jaws. We then select our F187 adapter. Thread on the puller shaft, hand tight, and then thread on the adapter sleeve, making sure that the sleeve bottoms out against the reservoir shield. At this point, we're ready to select either the right angle, the offset, or the extended straight pulling head. Today we're going to put on the right angle, which we first will engage the puller shaft. We want to fully thread the puller shaft onto the internal part prior to engaging the outer sleeve, the outer threads with the adapter sleeve. You can visually do this by pulling the tool apart and watching for the shaft to spin. When it's spinning, you have it fully engaged. Then you engage the outer sleeve and thread the pulling head on. At this point, you're threading the head on and looking for some resistance. As soon as you do find the resistance, which is right there, you complete the revolution and then move your jam nut down in place so the head will become stationary. At this point, we will select our Cherry Max rivet, place it in to the pulling head, and then place that in the material and pump the tool. At that point, the rivet stem is captured in the pulling head and will not release that until we retract the tool. We do that again by depressing the release button and pulling the handles together. Selecting the offset pulling head, we can remove that. Again, we need to engage the puller shaft and fully thread that onto the pulling head before engaging the outer threads. There. Now that the puller shaft is fully engaged, then we can engage the outer threads into the sleeve. As we thread this pulling head onto the adapter, we're watching this gap here, and as it closes, we want to get down to about 1/8 of an inch. Which is right about there. Hold that in place and tighten your jam nut. Do not thread the pulling head completely onto the tool. You don't want that gap. You want to be able to get your fingernail in between there. Now it's ready for rivet installation. Whether we're installing a wire draw rivet or a standard pop rivet, it may be necessary sometimes to re-grip the rivet during installation, especially if you have a long extended grip fastener. By placing the rivet into the tool and then into the material, we pump the tool. At this point, we've traveled the full length of the riveter. We must release the tool and re-grip the rivet to finish the installation. At that point, release and drop the stem. Introducing the new FSI D180 hand hydraulic riveter, the next generation from our current D100 riveter. This tool looks very similar to the existing model, but has a number of new features. The biggest feature difference, which you'll notice here, is the release button on the D100 is here, and the release for the new tool is located here on the handle. We also have a full metal housing and a nose that rotates 360 degrees. Operating the D180 is very similar to the D100. We must first select the proper nose tip and install it on the tool. At this point, we're ready to select our rivet. The lever must be in this position for riveting. By pumping the tool, you can see the tool expand. To release, move the lever down and pull the handles together. We will select the 3/16 Cherry Max rivet, get our test plate, at that point, turn the release button, pull the handles together, and the stem drops out. To change this from a riveter to blind rivet nuts, we must first remove the nose piece, place it on the nose piece bar, remove the nose tube and the jaw holder and jaws from the tool. Set those aside. Select your master shaft turn nut by threading this onto the tool. Place your nose tube back onto the tool. take your turn nut, again matching the D slot onto the flat of the turn nut of the master shaft, always remembering to put the open end away from the tool. Select the correct thread size, remembering that this is a left-hand thread. Place the anvil over there. Now you're ready to install your blind rivet nut. Get your material. Switch the riveter to the rivet position and actuate the tool, collapsing the fastener. As soon as you feel the resistance, release the tool pressure by pulling the handles together, and then use the turn nut to turn out the mandrel. From here, we can convert the tool for the special Cherry Max pulling heads. To do this, we will remove the nose tube, replace the master shaft and turn nut, and select our F187 adapter. We first take the adapter puller shaft, threading it onto the tool. Then we will take our adapter sleeve, and from this position we're ready to select our pulling head. We will take the F1076 offset pulling head. We will fully thread the adapter shaft onto the pulling head before engaging the outer sleeve threads. And you can see it turn the shaft. At this point, we can engage the outer sleeve threads, watching this gap close, and as we get to the position where our fingernail can fit in there, we then tighten the jam nut. At this point, we now can rotate this pulling head 360 degrees to any position needed for the rivet application. So included in each one of the riveter kits are the D100 MIL1 and MIL2 operating instructions, both for blind rivet and rivet nut configuration, as well as the special Cherry Max pulling heads and how to adapt those to the tool system. A warranty is also included on this card and is kept in the envelope on the lid of the toolkit.